Well, hello everybody, it is that time again. My name is Calkos, and welcome to part 2 of Tekken 7 for Smash players. Today we're going to go over the basics of defense, and I feel it's more important to go over defense first rather than offense, because Tekken is an innately defensive game. Now, this doesn't mean it's slow. If you've ever seen high-level Tekken, you know that it's a very, very fast game. What this means is that you need to be able to block and sidestep and whiff punish before you even bother with any kind of offense. You need to be able to predict and react to lows and make sure you block lows, because unlike in Smash Brothers, Tekken has multiple types of guarding. So in Smash Brothers, basically you have one guard, which is your shield, and your shield blocks everything. However, you have a meter per se, where your shield will eventually run out, and then you'll get guard broken and then killed for free, especially if you're at a high percent. Now, this game does not have something like that. This game does not have a guard break, except for one very specific move, but forget about that. The only reason I'm telling you is so you don't call me a liar later on when you find out. So you cannot guard break. Basically, you are guarding, like you can guard a million moves and you will never get broken. The only thing that can really get past a default guard is a throw, and I'll go over that in a second. So there's two types of guarding. There's standing guarding, and then there's crouch guarding. So now these serve two different purposes, because there are three different types of attacks in this game. There are highs, there are mids, and there are lows. So remember that. That's super important. There's highs, there's mids, and there's lows. So what that means is that the two types of guards, stand guard and crouch guard, will block those attacks in different ways. For example, a standing guard here will block highs and it will block mids. If you stand guard, you'll block mids. See that? Block that, block that. Your standing guard will block highs and mids. However, standing guard will not block lows. Lows will always go through standing guard. No exceptions. Now, if I do this, there we go. So crouching guard now. Crouching guard goes over highs, goes over all highs, all of them, doesn't matter. Anything that is labeled as a high, it will go over. And it will block lows. Block all lows. But it will not block mids. Mids go through crouching guard. And this is important because most of your launchers as a character are mids. Most of them are mids, if not all of them are mids. Like all of your big, really important launchers. They're all mids, okay? So it's important to know when and how to use these two different types of guards to defend against the three different types of attacks here. Also, oh yeah, crouching guard also goes under throws. So you can crouch under throws like this. And there's a taunt because I pressed the wrong button. So that's the different types. Now, as well, there's also another general rule of thumb as well that you want to follow. You don't necessarily need to memorize the frame data, but this is important to know. Generally, highs are pretty safe on block. They usually cannot be punished or leave you at a very big disadvantage. Keyword is usually. But I'll give you a good example. This is your regular standing jab. Every character has one. And the frame data for it is completely universal. It comes out in 10 frames, which is the fastest that any move can come out, with the exception of Yoshimitsu's flash. It is always +1 on block and +8 on hit. Always. There is no character where that rule does not apply. Jabs always come out in 10 frames. They are +1 on block and they are +8 on hit. There is no exception to this rule. Now mids are usually pretty safe unless it's a launcher. Launchers are almost never safe unless it's a simple down 2. Or down forward 2, excuse me. But most pretty quick mids that don't do a lot of damage, like this one, they're usually pretty safe on block. Even that one's safe on block. That one's -7. And that one leads into a launcher if you complete the string. Lows, though. Lows on block are generally very unsafe. Lows on block can generally be punished. So the idea is that you try to open up their guard, especially if you're a mix-up or rushdown-oriented character like Miguel is, by mixing up your highs, your mediums, and your lows. You try to mix them all up and keep your opponent on your toes. You also want to mix that up with tracking moves, so that way your opponent can't sidestep. Now, that leads me to my next part. Movement and evasion. The big part of the reason why Tekken is innately defensive is because of movement. Movement is so important in Tekken. Really, really, really important. Also, I'm frame dropping. I don't know why. Probably because I'm recording at a higher bitrate this time, which is nice. The quality should be better than the last video. So the core behind movement is backdashing, forward dashing, and sidestepping. Sidestepping especially. And that's because sidestepping is consistent. Basically, if you can dodge a move with a sidestep to the left, you can always dodge a move with a sidestep to the left. Okay? The only exception is if you're at a big disadvantage. Like if they did a move that's plus on block, and then you did a move that normally you could sidestep to the left, there's a chance you might not be able to. It's not an automatic thing. Like, you know, for example, like a side dodge in Smash, for example, you become invincible on frame 1. That's not how it works in Tekken. It takes a little bit more planning to be able to do. There's also sidewalking, which is really important. It gives you a little bit more of a sidestep if you do this. And to sidewalk, you press up or down twice, and then you hold it. And if you hold it, then you'll sidewalk. That's actually really important if they're doing a move that's very lateral, like this one. A move like that would count. A move like that would count as well. You can sidewalk and get behind them for a really nice combo. Let me think. So, the other thing, of course, is forward dashing and back dashing. Now, something that people don't do is they do this, you know? And that's a habit that you need to get over, because doing this is super fucking sluggish and you're not going to get anywhere with it. Especially moving forward like this, that leaves you open. If you're moving forward like this, you know, you can't guard, because you guard by pressing backward or down and back. That's how you guard in Tekken. It's not a button, it's a direction. It's back or down back. And that's because they don't want you to be able to they don't want you to be able to guard while moving. And of course, obviously, having it set to a button doesn't do that either, but it's just an extra measure. That's the reason why. The other reason why is because Tekken came out during a time when games like Street Fighter were a big deal. They felt like Street Fighter was the best tournament game, so they wanted to make blocking more like Street Fighter to help people adjust. And because it's a legacy game, they never changed that. But yeah, guarding is back or down back. Now, in Tekken 7, there's also an auto-guarding feature, where if you press nothing, no directions, no nothing. Let me move this down a little bit. There we go. If you press nothing, you'll auto-guard highs and mids, but not lows. I don't agree with this. I recommend not doing this, because if you're right outside their range and you're guarding and holding backward, you might be able to make their move whiff. And if you make their move whiff, you can whiff punish, you know? So I recommend holding back or down back to guard. Let me think. What's next? Where was I? Okay, yeah. Dashing. So always make sure you dash as well when you want to get out of there. Because dashing is much faster. Not only that, but you can also guard while you dash. If you dash by pressing backward twice and hold backward, you'll guard. So even if you're in the middle of your back dash and they try to do a high or a mid to chase you, you'll still block it. So there's no risk involved. Obviously, if they try to do a low to chase you, something like, not that, excuse me, like that, which does have a little bit of forward momentum, you'll have to crouch guard, but most people won't do that because it's risky. Now I'm gonna teach you something called Korean backdashing. It's called Korean backdashing because it was invented by the Korean Tekken scene back when Tekken 3 was still in the arcades. And it's been in the game ever since. Now, Korean backdashing is a lot of people try not to teach it to noobs because they say it's a really advanced technique. I say that's a massive load of BS. I say it's a massive load of BS because Korean backdashing is integral to good defensive game. Now, it's a pain in the ass to learn because it requires intense amounts of muscle memory, but it's essential, and I highly recommend you at least give it a try. So, I'm gonna, let me see here, display settings, command history, display. Okay, so now I'm gonna display my command history. Now, you normally backdash by doing this, right? But I'm just gonna mash on back, and I'll show you how fast it is. See, that's not very fast, right? There's a lot of, recovery time, or if you're a Smash player, end lag after your dash, you know? And while you're not exactly vulnerable, it's not very fast. Like, if you want to get away from your opponent, doing this is rather difficult, especially since a forward run is as easy as double tapping forward and just holding it, you know? So, when Tekken 3 came around, they found a way to circumvent this. So, as I said in my last video, you can actually cancel a backdash with, like, a sidestep, you know, or you can cancel a backdash into a forward dash, or, and this is the important part, you can cancel a backdash into crouching. See that? I canceled the backdash into crouching. Now, we've established that a backdash is done by double tapping back, and crouching is done by down back or down forward, something like that. So what you do is you combine these two things. You do back, back, down back, neutral, back, down back, neutral, back, down back, neutral, back, down back, neutral. So you repeat that after the initial backdash. So you do back to backdash, right? Double back, and then you slide your thumb to down back, and then you go back up to back, and then neutral, nothing, and then back, down back, down, neutral, back, down back, neutral, back, down back. And if you do that in quick succession, it kind of looks like this. I still haven't mastered it, so let me, See, it kind of looks like that. The really good players can do it really quick. But look how much faster that is than just doing a backdash. I mean, I'm not even that great at it. And, you know, it's so much faster, right? So it's important that you go into training mode and kind of learn how to do this. Now, you don't exactly need to do this in super quick succession, right? So you don't need to do it like how I'm attempting to do it. The only reason I'm attempting to do this is because I really need to practice this. Really, the only thing you need to do is 2. If you can do that, just 2, then you're fine. Because if you're in this mid-range right here, like where Heihachi and Miguel are, this is like the mid-range right here. If you want to go into the long range, because maybe they'll do a move that'll whiff. Excuse me. There. You're nice and away from Heihachi. If you can learn to quickly do 2 backdashes, like that, you're good. You're all set. Maybe 3. In certain circumstances, you may need to do 3. But more than likely, just 2. The rest will come with time. Maybe you'll hop into training mode and you'll practice for about 20 minutes. But, you know, all you need is 2. That's just it. All you need is 2. So, you don't exactly have to master Korean backdashing, but it's best that you're at least aware of it. That you know that it exists, because you're gonna go against opponents online that are zipping away from you really fucking quickly, and you're gonna be like, how the hell are they doing that? That's how. It's because they went into practice mode and they did this over and over and over again. You know, that's Korean backdashing, and it's very important that you know how to do this. Like, even I'm not that great. I'm having a hard time with it. So I need to practice up. There, that looked a little better. But yeah, that's Korean backdashing. Also, this is not proper Korean backdashing. If you see somebody doing that, they're attempting to Korean backdash, but they're fucking it up. That is basically back down, back down. That's not Korean backdashing. And it's not proper. It's not good form. And that's because you're not going backwards fast enough. You're going back and to the side. And if I do a move that tracks, something like that, by the way, moves that track are outlined by those little white sparkles that you see. That means they track to both sides. Stuff like this as well. So, they can do a move that tracks or a move that's weak to sidestep right. Or strong against sidestep right, excuse me. And, that's how they do it. Anyway, that's it for basic defense. Again, practice your defense before you work on your offense. Defense is much, much, much more important. On the next episode, we are going to explain rage arts, rage drives, and how to effectively use training mode. This is Calkos, and I'm signing out.